Hey guys, tonight we're talking Lange, and I think you know why.
The new
What's going on? Thursday, the trading desk. We're back. My very good friend and semi-regular co-guest.
simple and regular. Now that Thanos is back, I don't know about how regular, but at least I'm here again.
Hey, look, and we got the right name.
They got the name up for me.
There
Look
you
at
go,
that.
Mike Manjos. Easy show.
Very easy show tonight.
One of the brands did
Layup.
our job for us, so we're gonna knock it out of the park. But tonight we're talking Lange. We're talking the brand new steel semi-questionable sport watch.
Don't give them a hint.
Oh, look, we're
Look at that. We're going
gonna go
right in.
into it. But
Odysseus.
we're going to get into the meat of it. But first, I wanted to do wrist shots.
Perfect.
Yeah. Let's save the... We only got a few shots, so we got to save them.
We got to save them for later. All right. You going first or am I going first?
Go for it.
All right. So in honor of Lange Day, I actually swiped what I feel is one of the best, most iconic Langes ever, which is Lumen. This particular one is the Ground Lumen Moon. Not the most recent because they did do the Dado Lumen now. But this beauty lights up like crazy, innovative, amazing Lange. Since we were talking Lange and everyone's talking about the new piece and how it fares, we figured we'd bring some of the coolest Langes out to see how it lines up in the stack. And this was certainly my choice and always a favorite.
Awesome watch.
Awesome watch.
And we actually featured a few episodes back. We did a loom show, and we brought this watch, and we had a video
Did a
of
nice
it loomed.
loom show?
Yeah, it was actually a cool video. So, but that piece is awesome. And talk about something that's relatively thin for what it is. It wears really well.
It's iconic. I mean, that's the one thing I love about Lange, and I'm one of the biggest Lange homers in the world.
I'm getting there. I'm starting to really fall for the brand. Maybe not so much what was launched today, but we're gonna get into that. But absolute respect for the brand in the last, year, having really gotten to know them and sell them. This is a piece, in full disclosure, you guys know I always wear my own watches. But
I talked him out of it tonight.
he talked me into taking my Submariner that I was wearing, that I took out of the box because I haven't worn it in a little while, off for this piece, which I actually sold this week and I'm waiting for a trade on. This is the ever-famous Zeitwerk Striking Time. Absolutely gorgeous watch. Well above my budget, but certainly fits my wrist pretty well.
It fits your wrist pretty well. You can wear that. It's a beefy piece. It is, like all Zeitwerks, just distinctive like nobody else makes. And that's, again, back to what we love about Lange is the unique, innovative, nobody's done it.
I'm going to do this because I feel like at some point they got to see this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to adjust this. There you go.
Fit and finish, amazing.
I took 30 photos of this watch for this customer. There's not a way to photograph a Lange badly. It's very, very hard. With all the depth and texture and the different finishing and all the levels,
it's all about the finishing.
It's almost impossible to take a bad photo. So the camera work doesn't even, I can't even tell you how much injustice is being done right now. This style is spectacular too. It's one of those brands.
The black dials and the white is the best combination on the...
What I find about the brand is not only the movement, but the dial side. It's one of those things where as you study the watch, you just keep
appreciating it more,
deeper and deeper.
Well, it's all about details, and again, even on the simple watches, it's all about the details. They were also never tried to be someone else, which is what I loved about Lange. Is they never tried to copy Patek, they never tried to be AP. They just went in their own direction, super distinctive, and again, small following possibly because of that, but never went mass appeal. They always just did their own thing. Which is amazing. And for years, we've been waiting for this day when we've always talked to them about, make us a sport watch.
Right.
Finally happened.
Yeah.
So we starting there? Or we starting with
I don't know.
the Langes we love?
Essentially, super easy to say, okay, this is what we got to do today, right? Because our entire day has been fielding text messages, been fielding calls, been people saying, they either want to call and complain about the new piece, or they want to call and ask if they can get one.
Right, exactly.
Or, I guess it depends on what side of the field you're on, but really all it does is I actually got quite a few inquiries and emails about, well, now that it's out and I know I don't want it, this is what I've been
really
looking for and I've been waiting for. So we thought we'd bring some cool pieces. I'll let you go down the
You let me run through the
Yeah.
Langes? All right,
Well-
so we talked already the Lumen, we talked the data, the site work. This is classic Lange. This is a great version of it. This is 1815 up down. Like most Langes, again, their history was mostly done in pocket watches. I'm sure everybody knows the history, but again, company relaunched in 91. Their first introduction was done 25 years ago today, which is why they've taken this day to choose to release the new sports watch. But again, the up-down has always been a classic part of the line in different variations. This particular one was a limited edition done for a retailer a few years back. They made 40 pieces with the white dial.
Yeah, it's really, really pretty.
Classic Lange, classic finish. The thing I always love about Lange is even in their lowest end pieces, which are $15,000-$16,000, they have to lose money because they have so much finish on it. The movements are assembled twice. I think the last time I went there, they told me they had 83 finishers,
Right.
literally working on the tables, finishing each part underneath the backside, the whole thing. It's amazing. Hand engraving. Super proud. I've been lucky enough to be there 4 times.
To the factory.
To the factory.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, once for class for a week. I went to the academy, and 2 customer trips. So, and then another retailer meeting. So it's the greatest place to go visit, in my opinion.
One of the coolest things for me with the brand itself is it's super high horology that's depreciated, which we don't see in today's market a lot. Like, you get people that want these pieces, and the market's already crazy on them. Like, a lot of people expect Lange to be depreciated from retail right off the bat.
Correct.
So when you go to get something like this 1815, even though it's a 40-piece limited edition cool dial,
Right.
like
It trades
it trades at I think 14 grand or mid 13, something like that. It's a killer.
Killer watches. There's no question about it. And that's the other thing that we can talk about is the secondary market on Lange is not spectacular. There's not a lot of dealers who play with it. We're possibly one of the biggest in the world. I know we are because we have a huge inventory.
Small limited pieces.
Small limited runs, amazing pieces, and again, you can get great value on them, I think. It will eventually turn around. Again, we could argue we were waiting for this day for it to turn the tides. We're not convinced that's going to happen yet.
I'm not arguing that people were waiting.
People were definitely waiting.
Whether they're still waiting is the question, I guess.
Well, we'll get to that.
All
right. So then again, first watch they ever made, being German and very creative, Lange 1. This is the Grand version.
Amazing name.
Amazing name, isn't it? I mean, that's...
I guess beware what you ask for, because we wanted them to get more creative, and then they came out with Odysseus. So
exactly, yeah. I mean, what happened to the good old days when they called him Lange 1? So this, again, the original size was 38.5. A lot of requests back in the day for bigger. They brought the bigger sizes. This is the Gen 1 interlocking circles. The second generation eliminated the interlocking. I still love the original. This is my favorite version of it. And again, classic watch in the low 20s.
This is very iconic styling for Lange, right? So
Correct.
This has, you mentioned the interlocking circles, but big mainspring, big power reserve indicator,
Correct.
big date.
Correct. All the things that made Lange Lange.
Also,
and then we take a big date for granted today, but like in 1994, nobody ever thought about doing a big date in this kind of form. And again, back to that finish.
And so the cool thing is, like, you're going to take this off, you're going to flip it around, you're probably going to put it on your desk backwards so you can look at this for a little while. It's a cool piece.
Well, the cool thing about every Lange, again, hand engraving on the balance cock. They have 6 engravers there. You can take that watch to the factory, they'll loop it and tell you which one of the 6 did it, because they each have their own style. So you can figure out, whether Helmut's the guy who did it or one of his people, but it's amazing stuff. And it runs the gamut in the line.
And you got the Dado.
Dado, again, one of the originals. Again, in their naming department, datograph, chronograph with a big date.
Yeah.
But the best part of this, far and away, I think the best looking movement ever done. 3-dimensional finishes that are designed just to give you that depth. It's incredible stuff. This was the original version. In the smaller size, they now do the Dado up-down, which we do super well with.
Yeah, a lot of people love that watch.
A lot of people love that watch. And again, it's, 80,000 retail that's, trades in the 50s. It's good value. And these today, in the $30,000 watch, it's one of the best chronographs you'll ever see with a big date.
this guy, the last one there,
The baddest of the bad
super
boys.
special, actually really, really cool, but, too large for its own good.
Terra Luna. So when they introduced this, it was at SIHH, and they actually had a 40-foot version of it, and then they gave us this, and we didn't think it shrunk that much. It is an incredibly beefy watch that bows out at the back.
It's a belt buckle
It's a belt buckle for sure. But the detail on the moon phase, I think they said 1,085 years, it won't need to be corrected. This entire circle is mainspring. It's huge power reserves. Again, super iconic, super different regulator display.
Yeah, very cool perpetual regulator. It's got this I was playing with. I've played with this watch before, but I didn't realize until winding it that the power reserve at the bottom is a scrolling day wheel, which is pretty cool. Not to mention all the other regulatory features, but the watch is, it's quite large, but super complex. This is kind of like the big boy inventory for sure.
Yeah, no, it's retail on it was, I think, $225. Again, monster watch. But the thing I love about every single one of them is across the room, they say Lange. You can look at that on someone's wrist and you know they're wearing a Lange.
That's the shot. Yeah, super cool piece. So listen, we brought you guys some. You can't argue with that movement shot.
No.
We brought you guys some eye candy here. If you're listening to the podcast and you're not watching the video, I apologize. It's basically a lot of really, really pretty movements, and then in German style, some dials that you got to kind of grow to love. But once you get there,
again, I love the feel. I like the solid feel. I like it.
My honest take, a year ago for Lange, was that the movements were gorgeous. I like the case designs. The dials were just lost me. They always felt very sterile.
They were flat and sterile. There's no question about it.
But then you find the fact that there are certain Langes that are warm and inviting, like the Honey Golds and the
Honey Gold was a great move.
There's just, and then you kind of come around to them. But they're an awesome brand, and to be able to get a lot of bang for your buck, again, not a tremendous amount of value retention, not a great store of value, but if you're buying one pre-owned,
great way to get into the brand.
Very hard to go wrong with buying something that's really, really nice, cheap, or not cheap, but
All right, so we ready to get on to the new?
I guess.
The new boy.
Did you hear my watch chime?
I did hear your watch chime.
Okay.
It's
Hopefully you guys heard it on our one microphone. That
You're
going to
get attached to that thing very quickly.
Yeah, I'm going to have to leverage all of my assets.
That's okay.
Hey, look at that.
Look at that.
Up on the screen, we have
Odysseus.
An Odysseus.
All right, so we don't like the name, we're sure.
Yeah, can we get the name out of the way? So it's a very odd choice for me. I wonder if they've read the Iliad. It's a very long and unfortunate journey. That's heartbreaking, and it ends eventually, but nobody's really happy. It's a heroic story, I guess, is what they were going for.
So maybe this is what they were going for.
It's an odd choice.
It is an odd choice of name, no question about it. So, all right, let's roll back a little bit. For years, like we said, everyone's been asking Lange, why not a sport watch? I was dealing in Lange for a long time. They would always tell us it's not what we do. They really said never.
Right.
Obviously, that changed. Sure, it's got a lot to do with the market. I'm sure it has a lot to do with the world we live in today. It's an interesting piece. I like the dial. I'll give you that. I love the movement. The case, I'm not a fan of. The bracelet, I don't think so. Again, I want to see it in person to get the feel.
Right.
But the first thing that bothers me is that it doesn't look like a Lange. It looks like a round steel sports watch or trying to be a Nautilus Aquanaut.
It's
Royal Oak. It's just like it's trying to be another thing of a blue dial sport watch.
So there's some things about it I really like. There's some things about it that I don't necessarily understand. There's nothing about it that I'm like, set it on fire. It's absolute garbage.
No.
Right?
No.
So, but there are people online that are tearing.
Yeah, but there's always people who want another 1159 because that was fun.
I will say the design. So it looks to me like they spent a few years developing parts of it, and then in 6 months said, you know what?
We got to get this to market.
Boardroom of people said, let's slap this on there. No, we can't have that. It felt, to your point, it doesn't feel very Lange.
It doesn't feel very
Lange everywhere.
Correct.
So I really, really, I honestly, being a fan of like Panerai manual movement stuff, I would have liked to have seen him carry a manual movement just because I know how pretty their manual movements are into the sports watch. I would have much rather had a power reserve indicator on a manual watch than the day. So like last week when they kind of teased the day aperture, I'm like, well, here it goes downhill from here. But so if I could have a manual movement, even though I don't hate the automatic, I would have almost preferred a center seconds instead of the sub seconds. But I understand that that's kind of Lange's thing.
That is kind of Lange's thing, and
So,
I like the sub second part of it.
I love the date apertures are blue. They match the dial. It's a big thing for me.
Right.
The dial's gorgeous. I love the granulated center, kind of Lange's. It's very, very cool.
It's a more exciting dial than most Langes. You got to give them that.
Yes, 100%. The round case is very bland. Very smooth bezel, which doesn't make sense to me. If this had a fixed, sportier bezel, I don't even know what you have to do. It wouldn't have to be much, just something that's not smooth, simple. And that those pushers, to me, are an odd choice.
The pushers are definitely an odd choice. I guess the thing that bothers me a little bit is if you go back to the front view, when I think of Royal Oak or I think of Nautilus, it's an integrated case and bracelet.
Right.
This looks to me like it's a strap watch with an added bracelet.
Exactly. And it's actually really weird. I don't think we have the photo, but there's like two
buttons on the
quick
back?
release buttons on the back of the
spring
bracelet
bar.
and a spring bar.
Right.
So I don't know if there's going to be options for like an integrated lug into a rubber or to an alligator, or if you don't want to run it integrated, you could run straight to the. But it does kind of look like an afterthought. It doesn't quite roll in, and there's even if you guys focus on the case lugs, there's gaps there. That's by design. It's on all four corners.
It looks like it's a drop down.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost, I don't know.
No, I agree with that. The other thing is, again, when I saw the one side of it, I was like, it was Van Gogh with one ear. It's like it's a Nautilus with an ear cut off. I would have liked to see the balance on it, especially when you have I like the day of the week. I guess my first watch as a kid had a day and a week on it, so I got used to that. So I like the symmetry of it, too. But then you have a symmetrical dial with an asymmetrical case.
Right.
Now, I saw a wrist shot today of it, and I didn't notice it as bad. So, again, I'm trying to, because I am the Lange homer, I'm trying to take it for what it is and wait till I see it on my wrist.
I think the thing that's kind of got the internet on fire with this piece is that everybody waited so long for a sports watch.
So long.
And the anticipation built up, and then we get a very pretty Lange that's just another Lange that happens to be made in steel, in my opinion.
And water resistant.
And it's water resistant.
Right.
But it's not overly sporty. Like, the nature of a sports watch is an integrated steel bracelet. Right? Generally, when we think sport bracelet, we think more of a 3-lug style, right? A little bit bigger aperture bracelet.
Right.
That's chunkier and maybe more durable than a Rice bracelet or a multi-B or something like that. Also, that bracelet, I'm sorry, came right off of an IWC.
Oh, we know they used to steal class from IWC.
Right off an IWC brick bracelet. Anyway, it's pretty. I just don't think it belongs on that watch.
I was just expecting them to go a little more over the top on if they're going to wait this long to do it. I would have expected it to be a little more cutting edge or a little more. I was hoping, honestly, for a wild material.
Yeah.
Do something like a Chronometra Blue or do something that's different.
Yeah, you made a point earlier, which would have been, I think, pretty awesome, is if they did something like a Honey Gold's, but like a proprietary, more sporty metal.
Correct, a sporty metal, some kind of design. Come up with your own sportier metal that you could do that, which would, to me, would be more Lange. Lange does stuff outside of the box. I mean, always did. This is a little too much. Looks like we all got into the boardroom and said, let's make a mainstream sports watch. It's a little too mainstream for me.
Like maybe like a tungsten powder infused titanium or something like that.
Anything, just something to make it, Tony would be proud of doing. I mean, I know that they've always said, we don't want to do typical complications. We don't want to do what everybody else has done. I feel like here they did what everybody else has done. And in real life, it might be good, but it's still what everybody else.
I don't think either one of us doesn't want to see one in person.
I saw all the ones, lineup of steel round sport watches with blue dials. It's like, we really needed another one of those.
Yeah. But, I mean, so also, if they would have done like an octagonal bezel, we would have come out here and said it's an AP.
Correct.
If, I guarantee you there's a drawing of that watch with the case symmetrical with the other side.
There's
and they said,
prototype.
It looks like a Nautilus.
Right.
Cut it off.
Too much Nautilus.
Cut the other side off, and they're like, well, we can't because we already have these pushers integrated. All right, we'll keep that side. So it's a kind of a compromise piece to me is what it feels like. I think if the bracelet would, I mean, the bracelet's handsome, but it's a dressy bracelet.
Right.
You know, by nature. They put a sporty clasp on the back, which has
Right.
some...
I do like the fact that it's adjustable clasp, which is nice on a sport watch, because I love doing that on my Rolexes. But there's definitely that feel of it kind of was a consensus watch.
Yeah. Even with the oblong case, if that had come out exactly how it was, we don't change anything besides maybe the links in the bracelet and having the bezel not round, I think you get a little less hate. I will say, though, it's not the 1159.
It's not an 1159, though I'm sure Audimar's happier today because they did take a little pressure off them. But to me, it's a 6.5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not horrible. Yeah. It's got some things that I like.
But that's the problem, is that everybody waited so long
Everybody's
for this
waiting
watch.
for an 11.
Yeah, it didn't even have to be an 11. It had to be like an 8 or a 9, and people would have freaked out. And But it's a 6 or 7, and it's kind of like left a lot of people waiting.
Flat.
I think that there's a lot of people that are cautiously optimistic and waiting to see this in hand.
Right.
That's more than I can say for the 1159.
Yeah, nobody wanted to see that in hand. Still to this day.
I saw a picture in a forum of this, I guess an insider photo in somebody's hand next to a 5711 blue, and dial proportion, size, like they look like they're the same kind of class and family. I'm excited to see what it looks like on the wrist.
Right.
The buckle, to me, also kind of feels like an afterthought on this bracelet.
To your point, it was the circular design I didn't get. It just, again, it didn't seem like it's classic Lange. And I guess I'm traditional, and I like what I understand of each brand, and that's not a fit. 7
or 8 different design departments working on their own project for 5 years before they had a meeting.
But it's not typically how it's done there. I mean, I've been there. I know the guys. They're usually very focused. They know exactly what's coming, and it's very outside of the box, to my point. And again, this is just middle of the road to me.
Yeah, is what it is.
It is what it is. The good news is we're all talking about Lange today.
So we're talking about it's going to be, I mean, listen, from a value perspective, it's probably going to be flippable for a little bit.
Certainly will be for a while.
6 months a year.
Yeah. Because I assume it'll be small numbers too.
Yeah, so there'll be people that are hunting for it. There'll be people that are flipping it. It'll go over retail for a little bit.
Yep.
The
question is in a year or two where it sits.
Right. So it's not the Chopard Crazy Eagle or whatever that thing is. So I don't know. I'm happy that the brands did something for their anniversary.
Right.
Would I have released this piece on a very special anniversary? Probably not. But I don't run a company, so
there you go.
I run Jason Main LLC. That's it.
Very nice.
But no, I mean, so I don't know. Would have been kind of hard to come out here and do a show that wasn't based on this watch, which everybody's been waiting for.
Well, no, it's funny. We both came in first thing this morning. We're like, okay, we know what we're talking about tonight.
Everybody on our sales floor woke up to a group message of everybody talking about this watch, and it's kind of hard not to geek out about this stuff. It's just like if you guys are, into iPhones or whatever, and the new release comes out, you got to talk about it. You're a car guy. The new C8 drops, you got to talk about it.
Correct.
So
this is what we do.
Yeah, but in terms of bringing you something that you can actually see, we brought some fire pieces. We talked about.
We have great fire. I mean, we have the best Lange collection. I mean, believe me, I've seen them all.
So we have Journe on lock.
Yep.
We have Lange on lock. We have, I would argue, extensive Patek inventory.
Correct.
We have all the Rolexes that exist in the world.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Mr. Manjos there for that. And Al. Shout out to Al.
Yes. Thank you, Al.
But I mean, so I don't know. Where do we go from here? I mean,
it's interesting to see what else is out there.
We have Laurent Ferrier's, we have De Bethune's, we have
we
really
have the
cool
niche
independent stuff.
Right? But I mean, that stuff's here and there.
Yeah, it doesn't pay the light bills, but
the thing I love about Lange is, to me, that was always the cross between, like the mainstream big brands.
Right.
Because again, they still only do 5,000-6,000 watches a year compared to Patek's, it's 10 times that.
Sure.
So it's a much smaller business focus. They were always left part of Richemont outside of it. They did their own thing, and they still do. So I mean, at least everybody's talking about it, and I'm sure it'll help the rest of the brand to some extent, because everybody will be like, oh yeah. Now they have this, but I still like the other Langes better.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the new one came out. It's not what I hoped for, so I'm going to pull
Correct.
the trigger on.
I'll be curious because I had
15.
a number of guys, even the last couple of weeks here, and like it's coming out.
Also,
so
it's going to be like.
I haven't heard from everybody yet, but I want to hear the results.
Price point's like 30-ish?
28.8 or something.
Yeah,
I heard. Yeah.
So figure 30 grand.
30 grand. It all depends what they trade at again, because at 30 grand, it's a lot cheaper than a 5711 today.
Yeah.
But
But they'll probably trade at 40.
I think they will for a while. Yeah. I would expect. Well, again, how many they release, how many they deliver, they will definitely be demand for the early ones.
You think you have to be so we're not an AD for the brand, so I don't know, but do you think you have to be like a really good Lange customer to get one?
Yeah, I would assume you'd have to be a solid Lange boutique customer.
Have bought maybe a Striking Time.
Striking Time, a Terra Luna. Yes, that will get you on the list, I'm sure.
All right. I had a couple minutes scheduled. You want to do some questions, maybe?
I would love to.
You guys want to do some questions? Maybe shoot some over, and we'll try to stumble through them while staring at this Striking Time.
Wait for another strike.
I'm waiting for a quarter, yeah. Let's see here.
What do you got?
JBO Surf's asking what the verdict on the new sport model piece is. So
I think we got that one covered. just signed
shout
in.
out to JBO, who's always in the chat.
Thank you.
Yep, he did right. Missed the start, so there you go. You're forgiven. Find me another sports watch with an engraved balance bridge in gold.
Movement quality's never been a question with Lange. There's no question about it. It's, assembled twice, platinum rotor. It's got a special hairspring that they've redesigned, made in-house. It's got everything. You cannot argue the movement, and I would say you can't argue the dial. It's good.
Yeah, Hans Langkap saying, I think where they could go with this, Datograph, Saxonia, Lange 1, all new style, ! I think the beauty behind this steel piece is that they didn't try to do a Datograph in steel, right? As much as you want to say it's whatever and we want to see it in person,
right?
If they would have re-released something that they already made in just
it
steel,
had to be a new. It had to be something
case.
new. There's no question about it.
I think you water if you try and do that in this style and that style, you eventually water down the pool and it just becomes so.
Right.
We'll see how this one does, but.
No, I could see them doing a dual time in this case. Something.
Carlos SS says, looking at the hype on this, Breguet Marine 5817 seems as a bargain. And it's funny because when the watch came out, I immediately thought Breguet Sport because grande date, steel.
Got
watch,
a little bit of that
straight,
feel, no question
kind
about
of
it.
Center neural dial has a little bit of that feel, but it also has a lot of different apertures from a lot of different watches. So it's kind of hard in today's world to not.
Right, but I would also put the quality. The fit and
yeah.
finish and the quality of this thing is going to be amazing because that's just what they do.
Yeah.
So I would argue that they will. This is definitely a higher end.
Obviously,
animal.
But
and,
from a design perspective, I could probably Google a couple Bullovas that look like that watch.
Now you're getting
but it doesn't mean that it's not a better watch. I'm just saying from a design perspective. Listen, I was gonna leave that out of the show, but anyhow. Watch Doctor says, I'm disappointed that they didn't implement an easily removable bracelet and by hand individual links like the Cartier Santos and the VC Overseas by Richmond Properties.
I love the interchangeable bracelet on the Vacheron. There's no question about it.
The V3 is cool
bracelet. I think
bracelet.
that's well done. But again, you picked up those push buttons on the back, and I don't think we have a picture of it here. But there's definitely...
So you got to remember, too, we're seeing the very first press release of this watch.
Correct.
We haven't seen if there's we don't even know what the box set looks like. Maybe it comes with a rubber strap and an alligator strap. We don't know. There's definitely quick releases on the back of the bracelet. There's definitely spring bars, so interchangeability is going to be a thing, whether it's aftermarket or whether it's by the manufacturer, which if they don't do it, I don't know why they wouldn't because it's integrated in there. But I will say that the V3, the deployment buckle on the V3 is weird to me, how it has to how it swings apart.
Yes, it does swing.
It's a little sketchy, and I'm kind of I don't know if I trust.
Well, it's also, I'm looking here now, I just saw this for the first time, is it's got the push buttons on the link for the release of the links.
Right.
So it's a push button, push out pin system.
Okay, cool.
which again is cool.
And
I mean, it's
there's
engineered.
an adjustable clasp in there, which
Love.
which is awesome that it has, but you can very easily tell that it's in there because the buckle is this big. So
the buckle is big. There's no question about it. But again, till I feel it on the wrist and feel the balance of it, it might help balance the weight. But I don't think it looks that heavy.
Pushers disappear on the wrist, and this is an okay start to a new model line. Absolutely needs a rubber strap though, preferably Oyster Flex style. Yeah. So I mean, like I said, we'll see what happens down the line.
I think there's gonna have to be that removability. Why else would you do that case integration if you weren't going to do the
right? It might even be included.
It might be. We don't know. It's too early to tell. But again, do love the below pictures of the dial when you start getting into it. It's
I mean, so like I said, I saw that day like a week ago, and it was blue, and I think it was Thursday. It said TH, and they kind of sneaked it in there. I was like, well, thank God it's dial colored,
right?
Because that's a thing for me, even though I'm not buying this watch, admittedly. But it's a blue aperture, so all right, cool. It's gonna look pretty, but it's a day. It's gonna be a day date. You're not doing a day without.
I like day dates.
I know you do, but you like dates on all watches.
I do.
We've had this conversation.
Yes, we have.
All right. Captain Zed, adjustable clasps. The adjustable clasp can be adjusted with the watch on your wrist. Okay, I didn't know that, but if that's true, that's cool. Similar to the Rolex Submariner. Small sub-second dial kills the Lange, makes it look soft. Yeah, but I mean, so the overall aesthetic of the watch looks soft. It doesn't look like a hardcore sports watch.
No. It's a sports elegance kind of thing.
I actually don't hate, like I said, if I was going to delete one, it wouldn't be that. I don't know if I said that on video or when we were talking before.
We talked before, I think.
But if I was going to delete one, either the day or the sub-seconds, and I could only delete one, it'd be the day and keep the sub-seconds, because at least that's Lange in DNA.
Right.
The sub-seconds. How cool would it have been if they did something like with the interlocking dials on there?
That would have been cool. I would have seen that.
Anyhow, all right, what's that? I'm waiting for this thing to strike, but that means we got to go for another 5 minutes. 6:35. What do you guys think? 5 more minutes of questions, or do we call it?
Whatever you want to do.
36 minutes.
That's
not
not
bad.
bad.
We're a little bit late.
That's all right.
All right.
I think we covered most of it. I mean, again, movement 10.
Chondo, Jason,
dials
all watches
good.
should have dates. You're obviously
Thank you.
Listen. Anyhow, all right. I think we're going to call it. The guy in the back's doing this, and he wants to go home. So
he wants to go home.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for logging in.
Thanks, Lange, for giving us an easy layup.
93,000 subscribers. We're going to hit 100 hopefully soon. I need you guys to make that
happen.
Tell
your friends.
Mr. Manjos,
thank
you for having come on to the show again.
It's my pleasure.
Yep. And realistically, there couldn't have been another guy to do a Lange video besides Manjos here.
Love my Lange.
The Lange Whisperer.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day,
guys. Take it easy.
Take care.